Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Lunch Break Live. Real talk about obesity, food addiction, recovery, and what's really eating you. I am Carrie De La Cruz here with you again this week. What is this? Like four? Is this like four in a row? Oh, you know, this is how habits are created. This is a good habit, don't you think? Anyway, I am really happy to be here today with you guys. Looking down, hey, Jessica, so glad you made it. Looking for my mama's face, of course. I don't see her popping up just yet. So today's show might be a little different because part of it I'm going to read to you. Isn't that crazy? But before I do that, let me put my glasses on so I make sure I get the title of the show right. Today's show is called, Is the New Me the Old Me, or Is the Old Me the New Me? Okay? And this, I was going to say this will begin to make sense shortly, but I make no guarantees. Let me begin with a little poem I'm going to read to you. Don't look for rhymes. It's not that kind of a poem. This is another one from Poems from the Pond, which I know it's backwards on the screen, but I just have to show you it's a real book. It's by Peggy Friedberg. I read from her on a prior show. And she lived to the ripe old age of 107. So she had a thing or two to say about a thing or two. So this particular poem I will race through is called Transformation. The eyes of a very wise old woman whose face was once her fortune tell you that she knows her flesh can only be considered as something loose that hangs on bones, and in the service now of nothing but the truth of being old. Her eyes disclose with gallantry and control that she is still attempting to forget about her face, the only way to deal with what she sees as an absurdity, and which she chooses not to have smoothed flat by knives and stitches. In her eyes, there is a deadly patience with the ruination of what was and must, for balance, be condoned. Bleak, serviceable, wearily amused, and even interested. Her eyes inform you of how strange it is, how even liberating to have lived through transformation, to have understood and so to have withstood to some extent the helplessness of being ancient and without a face as she had known a face. And if this very wise old woman seems beautiful, as some say aging faces often are, it may be so, for she is still a striking sight, with hair as white as swans on water, and with gray eyes steely brave, daring you to see old flesh and all its shame, and willing you to know it must be borne. But do not tell her that her face is beautiful, for she will answer with her eyes that she knows what she is at last, and it is not her face has made her so. She does not want to hear the sound of praise again and be twice fooled. So that is what Peggy Friedberg had to say about transformation, and that is a little bit about what this show is all about. Now, Peggy Friedberg never had weight loss surgery, not that I know of, and to my knowledge, she never dealt with obesity or shedding massive amounts of weight, yet she wrote about her personal transformation. From what to what, right? I mean, that's the question. From what to what? From like young to old? From knowing everything to knowing nothing? From 100 years ago to now? From yesterday to today? I mean, what was she writing about? All she knows is that the woman who stares back at her from the mirror is either a liar or a cruel truth teller. Because that face is nothing but loose skin and wrinkles where beauty used to live. She changed whether she wanted to or not. Are you kind of beginning to see some parallels here? The whole loose skin on the bones thing? Well, so did I. I mean, here's the thing. I could say I changed because I wanted to, except I didn't really change the way I thought I would. And some of the things that changed were things I believed didn't need to be changed at all. And some of the things that changed were things that I didn't think were possible to change, or that I could change myself or whatever. And, some things changed in ways that I really didn't expect, and some things changed for the better. And, I don't like the way some of the things changed, and some of the things I wanted to change didn't. So there you go. That's like my statement about change, right? And of course, I'm referring to this particularly specifically, we could say this change after losing a lot of weight. But as you're going to hear, I think we all change always, whether we've lost weight or not. because I believe that what I experienced is something called life. That's something all of us are doing in varying forms. So whether a person loses weight or gains weight or loses and regains weight, they change. Don't you agree? We change partly because of what happened to us and partly to keep things from happening to us. That's my spin on it. Anyway, that might be too much of a distillation or a crystallization, but that's kind of what I think it is. I think we change partly because of what happens to us and partly to keep things from happening to us. So that's my little philosophical take on it. Am I going too deep here? I mean, stop me if I'm going too deep. I know this sounds a whole lot like existentialism, and you're like, what the heck? I just like met this woman, and now I'm tuning into this show, and she is talking about all of this philosophical nonsense, and I just really thought we were going to talk about how to lose weight and keep it off, and what's eating me, stuff like that. I promise you, this stuff is eating all of us to varying degrees on different levels. Some of it's percolated to the surface, and some of it is still deep down there. A lot of us want to know, why am I here? Who am I? Well, I could ask myself, am I a formerly fat girl? Is that me? Am I a bariatric post-op? Am I a recovering addict? Yeah, I'm all of those things, but I also happen to be a daughter, and a wife, a mother, a friend, an employee, and a person. Yes. So I'm a lot of different things, right? And I wear different hats depending upon what's required of me at that time, but I'm still always those things. And all of those things, I think, explain why I've changed, that and the passage of time, of course, which Peggy so eloquently mentioned. We're all getting older. Newsflash. Okay, you don't need to watch my show to learn that, but it's true. We are all getting older. And this is how I look at it. Since I have been blessed with the gift of age, I should do something about it and not just sit idly by, complaining that I'm getting wrinkles on my face. I think I need to do something about it. And in case you're wondering what brought up this, what I wrote, self-reflection and philosophical musing, I blame Diana Abercrombie. She is my Kiwi friend from New Zealand. Because yesterday on my Q&A show, she innocently asked, I'm going to read this question that she asked that I could just, throw an answer out there. Ready? Did you find that you evolved as a person in regards to your interests and pastimes? What does that now mean for you in regard to your new image? And how did you remain true to yourself as a person when change maybe felt like the only consistent thing? A lot of my hobbies have evolved, and some people see me as a new version of me, but I'm still me. And they comment that my personality is just the same, which is great, but I wonder why maybe through the changes other people can be seen to maybe lose themselves and their identity? Easy, right? Like that's like a one-word answer? No. All right. This is a really big question. Really, really big question. And there's a lot of meat on those bones, you guys. So what I figured is let's coax it apart, and let me see what we can make out of it. Okay. So I kind of broke it down into these categories because these are things I think that eat us up. And if we don't know what to do about it, we will overfeed it. Sometimes we feed stuff to make it go away or we don't like the way it feels. So I look at it as evolution, identity and personality, the old me and the new me, and hobbies. I like the last one. All right. I was going to start with the easy part, hobbies. Okay, but then I realized I don't really think that's as easy as it might seem. So I'm just going to dive in. All right, ready? As I explained in the opening, I think we all evolve. I don't even think it, I know it. We all evolve with every breath that we take. We are evolving, and it's just a matter of whether we're getting better or getting worse to a lot of us, because I don't really think anybody stays put, You moving forward or are you moving backward? I typically describe my evolution like this. So when people have asked me, and I will give them this answer, I will say, I have become the woman I always was. And it's really funny because people want to correct me and they're like, you've become the woman you always wanted to be? And I'm like, no, not exactly. I was always this woman. I just didn't believe it. She was always here, right? So I constantly got in my own way. I doubted every gift, every talent, every strength, and then I magnified every flaw, every weakness, and every mistake. So that is why the woman that you see sitting in front of you right now is not the woman that you likely would have seen, although I would have done a really good job of trying to fake it for you so that you wouldn't know how much I hurt. So basically, if I were going to say, have I evolved? Yeah, I've evolved to become me. So that's that answer. Identity, personality, well, I always said I was shy. I did, like forever. I am shy, and people always said I was nuts. They're like, you cannot possibly be shy. But that's how I felt. I really, really thought I was shy. But now I realize I was insecure. Okay, I was not shy, I was insecure. However, I was also introverted and still am. I know I can be an extrovert, but as a rule, you know what? I do tend to go to that introverted kind of place. I like pull it all in and I stick to myself. I really, really do until I put myself out there, which is, I guess, very different than being shy, isn't it? You know, being insecure. So once I pitched that insecurity, I got rid of that, or at least, okay, I address it. I continue to address it head on. Well, that left me with just being an introvert, basically. And I very much still that person, unless I'm being an extrovert, which really, how that looks, that just involves me being the center of attention, or like controlling the show, which might, you know, having everybody watch me. Yes, that is what. Okay, yeah, duh, I have a daily show. Why do you think that is? That's to, you know, because that makes the extrovert in me really, really happy. So I'm really happy that you guys are here, by the way. And let me just stop for a second, really quick. Thank you for being here, especially if you're new. Hang on to your hats, okay? I promise this show, I never know where it's going to go, but if somebody invited you to come, there must have been a reason. And even if you don't hear the answer to that question today, stick with me because I'm pretty sure I will answer it, or feel free to ask me. How's that? All right, that's my little disclaimer right here in the middle of the show. Speaking of, I do have a big personality. I have been told that a time or two. My personality, I like to call myself bravely funny. Okay, but not silly or goofy. Oh my gosh, no. No, I do not do silly. I do not do goofy. Hate it. No way. Okay. Identity. Well, I wanted to be the smart, funny girl. That was what I wanted to be defined as. But guess what? I always defined myself as the fat, funny girl. Always had fat in there. Who was kind of smart. Okay. My obesity was my identity. Absolutely. It identified me on every level. It colorized absolutely everything I thought and everything that I did. It defined me and it limited me. Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Isn't that sad? To distill the entirety of who I am down to one disease, okay, which I've now learned might be two, but let's just start with obesity. I hated it. I hated it. And I hated myself. I did. But once that was no longer part of the equation, you see, once I lost weight, I could no longer use it as a reason not to be the person I was born to be. See? I wanted to be smart or funny or whatever. Okay, can't be defined by obesity anymore. What am I going to do? Well, one thing I did not consider was being an addict. I honestly, it never occurred to me because I didn't know I was an addict. I didn't know I could be an addict. So I never imagined I could live in recovery. Because those two things do tend to go together, although you can live in recovery from obesity. But you see, if you don't view obesity as a disease, if you view it as a character flaw, you know, as you're a bad person, well, how can you live in recovery from being a bad person? It's a disease. Okay, so I never considered recovery. I didn't understand that. It was a really big surprise for me, though, when I found out I could. For everyone out there, as I run into people and we talk more and more about it, isn't it kind of a surprise to know that you guys can live in recovery from addiction, food addiction and obesity? Okay, but here's the thing. I thought all of my unhappiness was because of my obesity. But when I lost weight and I was still unhappy, now what? I figured out that it was something else. It was something else. Maybe it was a lot of something else's. A lot of something else's. And sometimes, guess what? Sometimes just not happy. Because people just aren't happy sometimes, and that's okay. So really my goal is not to be supremely happy all the time, okay? But it took me a while to figure that out. So so here's my question. Here's what I posed here. Am I a new version of the old me or an old version of the new me? Or am I just a completely new me? And where is the old me? So yeah, obviously I am the product of my experiences, as we all are, okay? Those are never going to leave me. The things that happened to me, the things that I did are never ever going to leave me. But in the past, and I think this is critical to figuring it all out for me, okay? In the past, I viewed those experiences through the prism of victimhood. I was incapable, and as you hear me say just about every day on the show, because I need you to understand this, I believed I was unworthy. And so everything that happened to me or everything I did was happening to and by an unworthy person, okay? So back then, everything happened to me. It all happened to me. But now I realize that some things happened to me and sometimes some things happened because of me. Because I set myself up for it, right? I put myself out there. This is what victims do. You set yourself up to be a victim because that's who you are. That's your identity. So I was a fat victim. Nice. Great combo. Boy, put that on a resume, see if you get hired, right? All right, so, but here's the thing. Some things just happened. Some things just happened. They have nothing to do with me. They just happen. And it's okay to just let them fall. Don't have to make a big deal about everything, but I didn't understand that then. So these days, I try to see events and experiences, yes, even from the past, through the prism of learning, wisdom, and survival. Learning, wisdom, and survival, because I survived, I learned something, and I'm wiser. See? So that is the difference. So I didn't change what happened to me, but wherever possible, I changed the way I perceive it or what I learned. So that brings me to my hobbies. How did that happen? Oh, we're doing good on time, you guys. This is so great. Like I said yesterday, okay, and if you didn't watch, go back. It's still here on demand. And also on my YouTube channel. I'm figuring out how to do that again. Facebook is being kind sometimes. All right. So a lot of my hobbies were introverted things. That's what I said yesterday. Okay, I used to consume books. I didn't mention this to you guys yesterday. I was a bookworm. I'm talking like binge read. I would read an entire series. I would read the book cover to cover in a day. I would crawl under my desk at home and just lay there and just read books and get lost in books or go into my closet or whatever. I mean, that was me, right? I don't do that anymore. Okay, maybe because, well, I could fit under my desk now, but no, I don't do that anymore, and it is kind of sad to me when I think about it. Part of me thinks I got burned out on textbooks from all my years in school. Just got absolutely burned out on textbooks, but I think that might be a little bit of an excuse because not all books are textbooks. Yeah, so another part of me thinks, and this is like my belief, okay, I'm not saying it's right or anything, I'm just saying, I don't read books because I write them. I've held that belief for a really long time. When I started out as a technical writer, I love telling people how to do stuff. Well, what would happen if I wrote a book telling them how to do it? Yeah, you know what? I don't read manuals. Why should they? It's another story. Sometimes I do. But anyway, the point is I like to write books, and you can decide where I should file that whole, idea. I'm also artistic. Okay, I used to draw all the time. I mean, like all the time. There were times where I just had to drop everything. And just draw. And I mean, I would get in trouble sometimes at school or my early jobs, whatever. There were times I could not do anything but draw. And I think what has happened is I translated a lot of that creativity into computer. So instead of pen and paper, it's like I use a mouse and Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, like that. And I design on the computer. And then instead of it just being for my personal consumption, I kind of throw it out there for mass consumption. Like this show, right? I'm creative. When I'm doing this show, I'm writing notes or whatever. That's mass consumption. That's not just for me or one person, right? I hope it's more than one person. So I love computers. I really do. And I know what that taps into, you guys. That taps into the perfectionist in me because computers let you make stuff perfect as long as you can tell it what to do. That really tapped into something early on, perfectionism. And so I have learned to pull it back a little bit because that's a very, very unhealthy thing to do, that I can spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours nudging one little pixel. Please. Okay, so I'm a work in progress. We'll just say that, all right? We used to go camping, yes, even when I was obese, okay, morbidly obese, mostly because we had a motorhome then, which we don't have anymore, and because Hannah was little, and because our friends all had kids, and we don't have an RV anymore, and Hannah's grown up, and apparently we don't have any friends anymore either, so we don't camp anymore. I kind of miss that too. Note to self, make new friends. Anyway, after my weight loss, I started riding my bike again, which I used to do when I was a teenager. Love riding my bicycle, and also riding on the back of the motorcycle with Juan. Love that because I could fit now, and I didn't feel like my butt cheeks were, oozing over the seat and around the sissy bar in the back. That was just mortifying to me, that image. So yes, and I could fit into the really super cute outfits that tend to run small. Motorcycle gear runs really small for girls. So yeah, really fun. But here's the odd thing. I don't like being outside. I hate being outside as a rule. I really do. There are people that are sun worshipers. They're like, give me the sun, give me the sun. I'm like, I'll just stay in. Thank you very much. Because there's bugs out there and there's just stuff I don't like outside. I don't know. I would just rather be inside. So I'm still very much an indoor girl. Not much has changed there, although I will go out to do stuff, but I'm really happy when I get to go back inside. Okay, so this being a half an hour show, apparently, we're still under that mark right now, but it has just been like expanding to 30 minutes. I think it's too much. Gotta work on that. Anyway, I cannot explain all of my hobbies to you, or all of my insights, or all of my changes, or all that kind of stuff, or why this hair, it keeps dropping. I can't explain that. But I think the heart of Diana's question really is this. Do people change after losing a lot of weight because they want to change? Do they change because they have to change? Do they change because others change? Or do others change and they stay the same? So there's a lot going on there. And I don't think there's a really easy answer. I think beyond physical changes, which are the obvious things when you lose weight, I think it is totally undeniable that we change as people. Because we're different people now. We're older than we were, even if it's by one day, okay? So, and we are the product of our experiences and our memories, as I've talked about earlier in the week, right? And we're bringing all those with us into a new body. So those memories, those experiences, that did not exist in the body we have now. So I think, of course, we're going to just change, and there's not a lot you could do about that. I can't tell you exactly how beyond that, because that's why psychologists get paid big, big bucks. I can't tell you that, but I can tell you it does happen. You know what? Maybe change would be a good talk for another episode. Okay, but not in a psychological way, because I can't do that. But yeah, maybe I should talk about change or something. Maybe, you know what? You guys, give me some good, easier questions about change specifically, whatever, if you think I should talk about that. I don't know. I'm going to leave you with this, okay? And then maybe if I have time, look at your questions just a little bit, okay? I think we all transform because we're alive. And like Peggy said, we can accept it, we can fight it, or we can run with it. So my question for you guys is, how do you deal with transformation? Or maybe I should say, how do you deal with transformation? Do you think you've changed? In what ways? Were they ways that you liked, that you expected? Were they good changes? Were they bad changes? I'd love to hear. So I hope you guys will share with me. And now, really? The hair? Really? And now I'm going to read what you guys were talking about, because I have a few minutes. I don't want to get indulgent, but let me see. I'm so glad you guys are here. And I do honestly want to welcome all the new viewers in. I am so happy you are here. The message is getting out, and thank you, Melissa. I know you are a really big part of this, sharing my show with a lot of friends. I've seen a lot of your friends come in. Jessica, you invited a new friend today as well. You're sharing the news, and that makes me really, really happy. Happy? That makes me happy. Makes me really happy. So thank you guys very, very much. All right, lots and lots of people here. Hi, Mama. I am glad you made it. And scrolling through, Krusty. Krusty? Oh, I think you meant Christy, but it came out Krusty, Mom. Sorry, we'll just blip over that. Krusty, there we go. All right. Oh, man, there's so many people here, you guys. Thank you. Let's see, scrolling through. Hey, by the way, Krusty, people love to call me Carl all the time because they mistake the I for an L. I'm like, Carl? No, it's Carrie, because my mom is Carol and my dad was Richard. C-A-R-I. Get it? Carl, whatever. So, Krusty, I'm with you on that one, babe. All right, let's see. Melissa says, yes, I was always this woman too, and I sabotaged my true self. Love it. What a great way to look at it. What a beautiful way to look at it. Yeah, I think I can identify with that a lot, that I kept myself from being the woman that I always was. I mean, it's So really liberating. Let me tell you, getting, free of the imprisonment of obesity is so liberating on so many levels, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally and spiritually. It's really a wonderful transformation. By the way, did you guys like that poem by Peggy? Did you like that? I thought that was really cool. No, it didn't rhyme, but I read it pretty good. All right. Let's see here. I always said I wasn't a people person. Now look at me. Yeah, I know, you and me both. You know, we might need to talk about that, about how we lied to ourselves for all those years. Shy versus insecure. Food for thought. Yeah, I promise you. It became so, obviously I couldn't admit I was insecure at the time because I was too insecure to admit it. I don't know. But maybe you're more advanced than I am. I don't know. All right. Yes, I was shy in high school. Then drama class helped me come out of my shell. I know, I was like drama club president, and I won, we had these Oscars. I won 4 Oscars my senior year, and because I had a kissing scene and whatever. But I was always insecure. Yeah, me too. Totally insecure. So there I am on stage, totally insecure. Even when I was no longer shy, I was obese most of my life. I see some more confidence coming out now, but I'm still the woman I was. Yay, you! So keep developing that. Keep strengthening that, and digging those roots deeper, really anchoring yourself in who you are, Christy. I love that for you. And yeah, I mean, I always loved being on stage, and I was like the class salutatorian when I graduated from University of Phoenix, right? Talking in front of 5,000 people at the Anaheim Convention Center. Love it. And all I can think about is how fat I look in my gown, right? Great talk. And all I can think about is how I look and how I didn't like the way my hat, hid my bangs. Whatever. Okay. It's ridiculous, just ridiculous. Didn't get to enjoy the moment. Wonder where that video is. All right. Yeah, you didn't know you were an addict either until last year. To me, not everyone is. I totally get that. Not going to make you an addict if you aren't one, okay? But if you are, I'm going to give you the liberty to acknowledge that it is a possibility you may be, and there's hope. I mean, that's what this show is all about, okay? You can be addicted to food. So let's just put that one out there, because that was the stumbling block for me. That's why I couldn't be an addict, because I can't be addicted to food. Wrong. All right. Let's see. Hey, Karen, all the way from back east, from snowy Midwest or East, or I'm not really sure, Ohio, wherever you are. Hi, I'm so glad to see your shiny face. Let's see here. I'll go camping with you. I love camping and fishing. I know, we used to go fishing too. We had a boat too. Okay, quick story. Our fishing boat, we had a little fishing boat, and when my daughter was 10, that's when we got it. And there's 3 of us in the family. Okay, so she decided to name it. I was going to name it like the Pleasure Cruiser. That's unique. And she said, no, why don't we call it the 3 Hookers? Okay, once I picked myself up off the floor, I realized how hysterical that is. Hookers, like fishing. Okay, all right, never mind. It's true. I thought it was really great. Funny, witty girl, that daughter o' mine. Okay, all of the above we changed for a lot of those reasons. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, deal with transformation as it comes, like when my butt started hurting after losing weight. Yeah, I sit in it, not on it. I get that. Small price to pay for health. All right, then. All right, you guys. So I think I have gotten some great engagement and feedback from you guys. Love that. Today was a different show, but it's like the wind. We never know where it's going to take us. Thank you so much for joining me on the ride, for coming along with me. I'm so glad you guys are here. Thank you for sharing me, sharing this show, sharing what we're talking about here with other people, so that they too can join us in choosing and living, fearlessly, courageously living our recovery. I am so very excited about that. Keep it going, you guys. Keep sharing, because we're really reaching more and more people out there, and it's just amazing. It's remarkable to me. There are so many people that need to hear what it is that we're talking about here, right? So share the wealth, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I am going to sign off because all the guys came back from lunch now, and they're parading back and forth in front of my office. It's time. So I promise I will see you guys tomorrow. If you have something you want me to talk about, definitely share it with me. Put it on my wall. Throw it out there. I'm still mulling over some of the stuff you guys shared with me before to see if I can pull together a really meaningful show out of it, okay? Don't worry. I do not forget the stuff you guys talked to me about. So I'm going to sign off and remind you all to have courage, seek peace, embrace joy, and above all, live your ever-changing life of recovery. Yeah, sounds good to me. Remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you. If you don't know what's eating you, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.